Yeah, well, I'm at the dentist, but I had some free time to mess around with something a colleague figured out. His name is Paul Mars, and then the problem we had was, and Paul helped me with this. Let's say we have a monorepo. Doesn't really matter if it's learner, turbo repo, whatever. And let's say we have multiple applications in the monorepo, like say A, B, and C. So we have end-to-end tests, let's say, under them, or any kind of test, and we want to apply some cost savings, right? We don't want to run every single test whenever something changes. We just want to make targeted changes, right? And then only run the tests when those happen. So before, let me zoom this in. Before, what we would do with that kind of a thing is, this year. So we would say if something under app C changes, then run this stuff, like run this entire job. Otherwise, don't run anything. If package.json changes, then run it. If this YAML file changes, then run it. So this was good and all, but here is a scenario where like we really didn't think we had a solution. So let's say you want to have branch protection rules, right? And then you go to branches, you add a branch protection rule, right? And then you say, okay, for sure, always run unit tests, type check, and linting, right? But then how would you require a test job if it's being run conditionally on file changes? So with all my test jobs, by the way, what I did was I named each and every one of them test just to make it absurdly difficult for myself, but it works like magic. So let's say we add that job, and it's the end-to-end job for any and every one of the applications, right? So that job is required; it has to pass. So how are we going to now make any changes? And then let's say we're not going to make a change for application A, but we have a branch protection rule for the end-to-end test of application A. So how does that work? So this is how it works. Here's the magic. So what we do is and I made multiple examples here. And I commented out in one of the YAML files, just everything that's changing and lots of stuff. So it used to be using this on push or pull request paths. Now it's not using that. And instead of that, I've added this new job here. So on top of the step, there's a files change job. So you can name it whatever, of course. Just does a regular checkout, but this is Dorney Paths filter too. What it does is it enables this check to happen at a step level, right? And then, so it says GitHub action that enables conditional execution of workflow steps and jobs based on the files modified by pull request, feature branch, or the recently pushed. So the idea is that you're moving from all the way here to down here, and then you can, once you move it to a step, you can start adding some logic to it. So as you see here, these three lines are basically the same as my path there. And this is kind of the convention. We give it an ID called changes so that we can have an output out of this entire step. So, the entire job. The output is files changed and then whatever the result of source was. So here we're setting that steps changes, which is here, source to true, depending if there's a match with the change files. Right? And then so this is either true or false. The next job is pretty much the same, but we are just needing this first job so that they can run in order, right? And then we only run it if files changed, the output from the previous job is true. Otherwise, we don't run it, right? So let's look at let's see, app C. Did we do something? That was app C. Let's look at app B. So it's the same thing basically. Like it doesn't really matter. This one doesn't have comments. Let's look at app A. Well, that's pretty much the same deal there too. So the YAML files are slightly different, but this applies anywhere. So we made that first PR, and see, not this one, personal one. So many URLs going on here. So I'm going to save. I'm going to get a link to the PR that happened. But basically, you remove that section and add that job down there. and it's the same for every single one of the YAML jobs. Just that I left some comments for one of them just to describe the whole situation. Now, after that PR went in, right? I went ahead and added the branch rules. So at the moment, every single E2E job is required, right? Whether changes are made to that or not. And then I went ahead and did a maintenance fix. Basically, all the test burner jobs, I was using a type integer, and that's not really correct, but it was forgiving. So I just changed the repeater jobs to strings, right? So none of these are anything related to E2E. They shouldn't trigger any end-to-end jobs, right? But I am requiring branch protection rules. So this is so nice. So the logic to determine if those files change runs first, right? And then the end-to-end jobs are skipped, but no matter, right? They're required, they're skipped, okay. And then we still require the unit and lint and type check jobs. So this way, we can have branch protection rules only conditionally. If files are changed in some folders, then we require the end-to-end tests. And if nothing has changed, they're still required, but it doesn't matter if they didn't run, right? So this helps us with the situation of merging failing CI, right? Because before we couldn't have protection rules for it, and accidentally, even when end-to-end tests were failing, things could have emerged. Now this helps with that, and it works beautifully. I would recommend anyone that has to work with monorepos to give this a try. And don't work with Lerna. Not that it makes a difference, but try Turbo Repo or Narwhal. All right, thanks. Later.